Aaron lived on the edge of human space, far away from the crowded cities and shining towers of the inner worlds. His home was a small station built near a quiet trade route. Most people did not care to live so far out, but Aaron enjoyed the silence. He liked fixing machines, trading with passing ships, and spending long nights watching the stars through the wide glass panels of his station. Yet even for someone who loved solitude, the days had begun to feel heavy. The station was large for one person, and daily work took much of his time. Cleaning, checking power lines, repairing small parts, and keeping the air filters fresh left him little chance to rest. One morning, while Aaron was drinking a simple cup of tea, he opened his trade console and saw a new notice. It was a hiring list for workers from allied species who were looking for temporary service contracts. Most were skilled in cargo work, engineering, or farming. One listing, however, was different. It was short and plain. Mira, domestic service, quiet, efficient, reliable. Aaron paused. He had heard of her species, but did not know much about them. They were said to be calm, good with detail, and respectful of privacy. For a moment, he wondered if bringing someone to live with him would disturb his peace, but then he thought about the endless dust on the floors and the tools scattered around his workshop. In the end, he sent a message of acceptance. 3 days later, a small shuttle arrived. From it stepped a tall figure wrapped in a light gray robe. Her skin carried a faint shimmer, and her dark eyes seemed deeper than any night sky Aaron had ever seen. She bowed slightly, holding her hands together in greeting. Aaron, unsure how to respond, simply nodded and introduced himself. "I am Aaron. Welcome to my station." Her voice was soft as she replied, "I am Mira. I will keep your home clean and in order." There was no more to say, and Aaron guided her inside. At first, her presence felt strange. Mira did not speak unless asked. She moved quietly, gliding through the hallways as if she belonged to them. She swept the floors, organized the storage units, and polished the glass panels until they reflected like mirrors. Aaron noticed she never wasted time. Every movement seemed practiced and precise, as though she had been trained for such work since childhood. She never asked questions about his machines or his trade. She only nodded when he gave small instructions, then carried them out with perfect attention. Days turned into weeks. Aaron grew used to her presence, though he still found her habits curious. She often arranged objects in shapes that looked more like patterns than simple order. Tools in his workshop would be lined up not only by size but by angles that pointed toward a common center. Boxes in the storage room were stacked in groups of 7, never 6 or 8. Even the glass panel she cleaned would show faint designs, circles within circles glowing for a moment before fading. Aaron sometimes thought it was a trick of his eyes, but the feeling remained. He also noticed that Mira worked in cycles. At certain hours, she always returned to the same places, even if nothing seemed out of order. She would stand still in front of the air filters as if listening to them. She would touch the walls, brushing her fingers lightly along the surface. Aaron once asked her why, and she simply said, "To keep the station balanced." Her answer left him wondering, yet he chose not to press further. Though Mira's silence often filled the station, it was not uncomfortable. Aaron began to realize that he no longer felt the weight of loneliness. When he came back from trade runs, the halls were bright and the rooms warm. His tools were always in place, the air clear, and his meals simple but ready. He found that he rested better at night and woke with more energy. The stillness of Mira's presence had become part of the rhythm of the station, yet curiosity worked at his mind. One evening, after finishing repairs in the workshop, Aaron walked through the hall and noticed Mira standing by the glass panel. She was looking out at the stars, her reflection shining faintly on the surface. For the first time, Aaron asked about her home. "Where do you come from, Mira?" She answered without turning her head. "Far beyond the roots, you know. My people live in silence among the stars. We listen and watch." Her words carried a weight he could not explain, but when he tried to ask more, she quietly excused herself and continued with her work. Strange signs continued to appear. A drawer of spare parts had been arranged into a star shape. The walls of the corridor held faint lines that glowed when the lights dimmed. The cleaning cycles always ended with Mira standing still in the center of the station, eyes closed, arms at her sides, as if she was waiting for something unseen. Aaron felt a mix of unease and curiosity. Was she only a maid, or was there more behind her silence? One day, after returning earlier than usual from a nearby station, Aaron found Mira in the storage room. She did not notice him at first. She was kneeling on the ground, her hands pressed against the floor. A faint glow spread from her palms, tracing lines across the metal like veins of light. Aaron froze, not wishing to interrupt. He watched as the glow formed a pattern, a circle divided into smaller shapes, each glowing with a soft blue hue. Mira's lips moved, whispering words in a language he could not understand. The air around her seemed to hum gently, as though the station itself had joined her in song. Aaron stepped back before she could see him, his heart beating faster. He did not know what he had just witnessed. It was clear now that Mira was no simple worker. She had a purpose beyond cleaning, something tied to her strange patterns and quiet habits. Yet she had never shown harm, never acted against him. Still, the mystery deepened, and Aaron knew that sooner or later he would have to ask her directly. That night, as he lay in bed, he stared at the ceiling and thought about her words, "My people listen and watch." He wondered what they were watching for, and why she had come to his lonely station. For the first time in years, Aaron felt that his quiet life was not as simple as he believed. Something larger was moving in the shadows, and Mira stood at its center. The arrival of his alien maid had begun as a simple choice for comfort, but it was already leading him toward questions far greater than dust, floors, or polished glass. Part of him feared the answers, but another part burned with curiosity. What secret was Mira guarding, and what would happen when he finally stepped close enough to find out? Aaron had grown used to Mira's silent presence in his station, but the memory of what he had seen in the storage room did not leave his mind. The image of her glowing hands and the quiet hum that seemed to come from the walls made him restless. He tried to tell himself that perhaps it was a harmless cultural ritual, or a way her people worked with energy. Yet deep inside he knew it was something more. Mira was hiding a truth, and he was living in the middle of it without understanding. The next day began like any other. Aaron woke early, repaired a loose panel in the power room, and checked the trade console for messages. Mira was already moving through the halls, quiet as ever, cleaning and arranging. She greeted him with a small nod, her eyes calm as if nothing unusual had ever happened. For a while, Aaron almost convinced himself that he had imagined the strange glow. But when he walked past the storage room again, he noticed faint blue lines still on the floor. Nearly faded, but not gone. His chest tightened. It had been real. That evening, after finishing his work, Aaron returned to the living quarters. He expected silence, but instead he heard a low vibration in the air. It was like the gentle sound of an instrument being played far away. Following the sound, he stepped down the corridor and stopped near the central hall. Mira stood there with her back to him, her robe flowing slightly as if stirred by an unseen wind. Her arms were raised, palms open, and faint light pulsed around her fingers. She was whispering in that strange language again, words that slipped past his ears like water. The metal of the walls shimmered faintly, responding to her presence. Aaron felt the air move against his skin, though no vent was open. He froze in place. He had caught her in the middle of something secret, something far beyond cleaning or service. He knew he should step back and pretend he had not seen, but curiosity pushed him forward. He took another step, and the sound of his boot on the floor echoed through the hall. Mira turned quickly. The glow around her hands faded at once. Her eyes met his, and for the first time since she had arrived, Aaron saw real emotion in them. Surprise, but not anger. For a long moment, they stood in silence. Aaron's heart pounded, unsure if she would deny what he had seen. Finally, Mira lowered her arms and spoke. "You should not have seen this." Her voice was calm but carried weight. Aaron swallowed and forced his voice to stay steady. "Then tell me what it is. I have the right to know what is happening in my station." Mira studied him, her eyes searching his face. She did not look guilty, nor did she seem ready to threaten him. Instead, she sighed softly, as though she had been holding a burden too heavy to carry alone. "I was not sent here only to clean," she said at last. "I came because there is danger hidden in these walls. My people felt it far away, and I was sent to find it." Aaron blinked, confused. "Danger? I built half of this station myself. What could be here that I do not know about?" Mira shook her head. "It is not something you built. It is older. Much older. It sleeps in the metal hidden behind the panels. It calls out even if you cannot hear. I can feel it every day like a shadow pressing against the light." Aaron felt his chest grow tight. "You mean there is something buried in my station? Something alive?" Mira's eyes narrowed slightly. "Not alive as you know it, but not dead either. It is a beacon, A signal machine placed here long before you came. It sends its voice into space, waiting for someone to answer. The words sent a chill through Aaron. He had lived in this station for years, and never once had he noticed anything unusual beyond the normal repairs. Now Mira was telling him that something older than human presence was hidden inside his very home. He wanted to doubt her, but the glowing patterns and the hum he had felt gave truth to her words. "Why hide this from me?" he asked. "Why pretend to be only a maid?" Mira looked away, her hands folding in front of her. "Because if I told you too soon, you might not trust me. Humans fear what they do not understand, but I could not let the danger remain ignored." Aaron's thoughts raced. He had trusted her with his home, but now he realized she had been watching more than the floors and walls. She had been watching the station itself, guarding something hidden beneath it. "Then why now?" he asked. "Why tell me after I walked in?" Mira's eyes softened. "Because you saw me and you did not run. You did not call for help or turn against me. Perhaps you are ready to hear the truth." Aaron did not answer right away. He felt both betrayed and strangely relieved. Mira's silence now made sense. Her patterns, her cycles, her strange habits, everything was connected to this secret. And though he should have felt angry, a stronger feeling rose in him: curiosity. If something truly ancient was hidden inside his station, then he wanted to see it with his own eyes. "Show me," he said at last. Mira tilted her head slightly, her expression unreadable. "If I show you, there will be no turning back. Once you know, you will carry the same burden as me." Aaron nodded firmly. "Then let me carry it. This is my home, after all." Mira studied him for another long moment, then gave a slow nod. "Very well. Tomorrow, when the lights dim, we will go together." She then turned away, her robe brushing softly against the floor, leaving Aaron alone with his racing thoughts. That night, Aaron could not sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint hum of the station systems. But now every sound felt different. Was that soft vibration only the engine, or was it the hidden beacon Mira spoke of? How long had it been here? Who had built it? And who was it calling out to in the endless dark? By morning, Aaron was both nervous and eager. He watched Mira move through the halls as usual, silent and graceful. Yet now he saw her with new eyes. She was not only a maid but a guardian of secrets, someone sent across light years to protect against an unknown threat. He wanted to ask more questions, but Mira remained quiet until the hour she had promised. When the station lights dimmed into evening mode, Mira approached him in the hall. Her eyes held the same calm strength as always. "Follow me," she said. Aaron did so without hesitation. She led him through narrow passages, past storage units and repair bays, until they reached a section of the wall that Aaron had never opened. Mira knelt, placing her hand against the metal. At her touch, faint blue light spread across the surface, outlining a hidden panel. With a soft click, the wall opened, revealing a dark chamber inside. The air that spilled out was colder than the rest of the station, carrying a faint metallic scent. Aaron leaned forward and saw something that made his breath catch. Resting within the chamber was a strange device, smooth and black, its surface covered in glowing lines that shifted slowly like rivers of light. It pulsed gently as though it were breathing. Aaron stepped closer, his eyes wide. "What is it?" he whispered. Mira stood beside him, her voice steady. "This is the beacon. The reason I came here. It is waiting, and soon it may be answered." Aaron felt the weight of her words settle over him. He understood now that his life on the edge of space was no longer simple. The quiet station he had loved for years was hiding something that could bring strangers from across the stars, and standing beside him was Mira, no longer just an alien maid, but the key to a secret far greater than he had ever imagined. The hidden chamber glowed faintly with the strange pulsing lines on the beacon. Aaron stood still, his breath caught in his chest, trying to understand what his eyes were seeing. The device seemed alive, though Mira had said it was not. It did not look like any human machine he had ever repaired. It was smooth and perfect, without bolts, wires, or seams. The glowing patterns moved like flowing rivers, and with each pulse the air in the chamber grew heavier, as if the device was pushing its presence into the room. Mira's calm voice broke the silence. "This is what I was sent to find. My people felt its signal across the stars. We knew it was hidden on a human station, but we did not know where. When I arrived here, I felt it at once. That is why I stayed." She turned to him, her eyes steady. "Now you see it too. You understand the danger." Aaron shook his head slowly. I understand that it is here, but I do not yet understand what it means. Who built it? What does it want? Mira's gaze shifted back to the beacon. We do not know who built it. We only know that it speaks. It sends a call into the dark. We believe it waits for an answer. The word struck Aaron hard. A call into space could mean anything. It could mean a request for help, a warning, or an invitation. But if it was strong enough for Mira's people to feel from far away, then it might be powerful enough to draw attention from others as well. How long has it been here? Aaron asked, his voice low. Mira touched the glowing edge of the chamber and whispered, Longer than humans have traveled the stars. Perhaps longer than my people have lived in the light of our suns. Aaron stepped closer, studying the strange shifting lines. He reached out a hand, then pulled it back quickly when Mira shook her head. Do not touch it, she warned. It does not welcome careless hands. Its design is beyond us, Aaron frowned. If it is so dangerous, why not destroy it? Mira's expression grew heavier. If we strike it, it may answer with force, or it may release its signal stronger than before. My people never destroy what we do not understand. We learn, we listen, and we wait for the right moment. Her words reminded Aaron of her habits, the way she moved through the station in silent cycles, listening to walls and touching panels. She had been watching the beacon all along, trying to understand its behavior. Aaron felt a mix of unease and admiration. She had been living with this secret, guarding it without fear, while he had been unaware in his own home. Aaron crossed his arms, staring at the device. So what happens now? If it is calling, then someone out there might already be listening. What if they come here? Mira lowered her voice. That is why I needed to be certain. I thought I could watch alone, but now I think I will need your help. Her words surprised him. My help? I do not even know what I'm looking at. I fix engines and cargo doors. I do not deal with alien machines. Mira gave a small nod. That is true. But you know this station. You know every corridor, every panel, every system. I may feel the beacon, but you can help me find where it reaches, how it hides its power. If we work together, perhaps we can understand it faster. For the first time, Aaron saw the faintest trace of emotion in her calm face. It was trust. She was choosing to share her burden with him, something she had hidden for weeks. Aaron felt a weight settle on his shoulders, but he also felt a spark of determination. Then we will learn together, he said firmly. Mira bowed her head slightly, a quiet sign of agreement. Over the next days, their work changed. Mira still cleaned and arranged the rooms, but now her silence carried purpose. Together, she and Aaron traced the paths of the beacon's influence. Aaron opened panels and checked energy flows, while Mira pressed her hands against the metal and sensed the hidden patterns. They discovered that the beacon was not only resting in its chamber. Thin lines of energy stretched through the walls like roots reaching into the power systems of the station. Without knowing, Aaron had been feeding it energy for years. The discovery unsettled him. It has been using my station as fuel, he said, wiping sweat from his brow after pulling open another panel. Mira nodded. Yes, that is how it hides. A small amount from each system, never enough to be noticed. That is why it has survived so long without being found. Aaron stared at the faint glowing line running along the inside of the wall. If it has been alive this whole time, then why now? Why send stronger signals now? Mira's eyes darkened. Perhaps the time it waited for has come. Or perhaps it has felt something moving in the stars. We cannot be sure. Their search grew harder. The beacon's lines reached into every corner of the station, from the life support system to the engines. Aaron began to feel uneasy sleeping at night, knowing that the walls themselves carried the presence of the ancient machine. Yet Mira's calm strength steadied him. She never rushed, never panicked. She listened, mapped the flows, and guided him step by step. One night, while studying the energy patterns, Aaron asked her quietly, "Why trust me now? You said humans fear what they do not understand. Why believe I'm different?" Mira paused, her eyes fixed on the faint glow under her hand. "Because when you saw me, you did not turn away. You did not call for soldiers or try to push me out. You stayed. That tells me you are willing to see before you judge." Her words stayed with him. For the first time, Aaron realized that trust was not only about sharing work, but about believing in someone's choice to stand beside you, even in the unknown. Together, they built a map of the beacon's reach. By the end of a long week, they sat at the console, watching the image of the station covered in thin, glowing lines. The beacon's roots reached everywhere, Aaron leaned back, running a hand through his hair. It is like the station itself has been turned into part of the machine. Mira nodded. Yes, this is no accident. Whoever placed the beacon here wanted it to grow until it became one with its shell. Your home is not only hiding it, it has become its body. The thought made Aaron shiver. Yet as he looked at Mira, he felt stronger knowing she was beside him. She was no longer only a maid in his home, but a partner in facing a mystery that stretched beyond their understanding. The secret she had carried alone was now theirs to share. And though fear lingered, Aaron felt a new sense of purpose. He was not just living on the edge of space anymore. He was standing at the edge of something greater, something ancient, and the bond he now shared with Mira would guide him into whatever came next. The beacon pulsed in its hidden chamber, steady as a heartbeat. Mira and Iran knew it was only the beginning. Someone, somewhere, would hear the call, and when they answered, both human and alien would stand together to face what arrived. The station felt different after Aaron and Mira uncovered the map of the beacon's reach. Every sound in the walls, every flicker of light reminded Aaron that the beacon was alive beneath the surface. He could no longer think of the station as only his home. It was a body for something far older, and each day the pulsing signal seemed to grow stronger. Mira spent more time in the hidden chamber now, listening to the rhythm of the glow. Aaron joined her often, studying the console as he tried to trace the flow of energy. The beacon was pulling more power from the systems than before. Even the life support unit showed small drains, though the readings always returned to balance before alarms could sound. One evening, Aaron stared at the shifting light and said, "It is not just feeding. It is preparing. Something is changing." Mira's expression was calm, but her voice was low. "Yes, the signal grows. Soon it will no longer be only a whisper. Soon it will be a call that no one can ignore." The thought sent a chill through Aaron. "Then we have to stop it. If it keeps sending something out there, we'll hear." Mira turned her dark eyes toward him. "And if they hear, they will come. But we do not know if they come as friend or enemy." Aaron paced the chamber, his boots echoing against the floor. "We cannot take that chance. We must tell the command center on the nearby station. They need to know what is happening here." Mira shook her head. "If you tell them, they will see me as the cause. They will think my people placed it here. Humans may act with fear. They may lock your station, destroy the beacon without thought, and in doing so bring greater danger." Aaron stopped pacing. He wanted to argue, but he knew she might be right. Humans did not always handle the unknown with patience. Still, the idea of keeping this secret felt wrong. So what do we do? Wait until it is too late? Mira placed her hand against the beacon's surface, and the lines under her palm glowed brighter. "We learn more. If we can understand how it works, we might weaken it, slow it, or shut it down." Over the next days, they worked without pause. Aaron opened panels across the station, cutting temporary lines of power to see how the beacon would react. Mira stood nearby, sensing the flows with her strange gift. Each time Aaron disconnected a system, the beacon adjusted, pulling energy from another source. It was as if the machine was alive, refusing to be starved. One night, after hours of testing, Aaron leaned back against the wall, exhausted. "It is too clever. Every time I block a path, it finds another." Mira knelt beside him. "It has been waiting a long time. It is patient. But patience cannot last forever. Its hunger will rise, and then it will show us its true form." Her words proved true sooner than Aaron expected. 2 nights later, while he checked the outer sensors, an alert flashed across his console. A long-range scan showed a signal echoing back toward the station. Something had heard. Aaron's hands tightened on the console as he called Mira. She appeared quickly, her eyes fixed on the glowing screen. "It begins," she said softly. "The beacon's voice has reached another." Aaron's throat felt dry. "How long before they arrive?" Mira closed her eyes for a moment, listening as if the stars themselves spoke to her. When she opened them, her face was calm but firm. "Not long. Perhaps days. Perhaps less." The echo was strong. Aaron's thoughts raced. "We cannot wait for them to arrive without knowing who they are. If they mean harm, this station will not survive. We must shut the beacon down now." Mira looked at him carefully. "You are willing to risk it?" "Yes," Aaron said firmly. "If we do nothing, we invite danger. If we try, at least we stand a chance." Together, they returned to the hidden chamber. The beacon pulsed brighter than before, its rhythm quick and strong. The lines across its surface shifted like living veins. Aaron felt the air press against his skin as if the device knew he was there. He pulled out his tools and began setting up a bypass. Mira stood close, guiding him. Be careful. Do not strike at its heart. Cut the roots instead. If you attack the core, it may fight back. Aaron followed her words, cutting small connections through the walls and redirecting power. Each time he severed a line, the beacon shuddered with a brighter pulse, then settled again. Sweat ran down his forehead as he worked, but determination drove him forward. Finally, after long hours, the beacon's glow dimmed slightly. Aaron stepped back, breathing hard. It worked. We slowed it. But Mira's eyes remained fixed on the device. Not enough. Look, the beacon's pulse had changed. It no longer beat with calm rhythm. Instead, it throbbed faster, almost like a heart under strain. The lines of light deepened and the air grew heavier. Mira's voice was tense. It knows we touched it. Now it will push harder. As if to prove her words, alarms rang across the station. Power levels spiked in several systems at once. Aaron ran to the console and saw readings climbing fast. The beacon was drawing energy more fiercely than ever, reaching for every line at once. We must cut the main power, Aaron shouted. Mira shook her head quickly. If you cut all power, life support will fail. You will not survive long enough to finish. Aaron slammed his fist against the console in frustration. The beacon had them trapped. If they starved it, they would starve themselves. If they left it, it would grow stronger. Mira stepped forward, placing both hands on the beacon. Her eyes closed and her skin glowed faintly. I will try to calm it, she whispered. But I cannot hold it alone. Aaron felt a rush of fear. What if it hurts you? She opened her eyes slightly, meeting his. Then I will endure. But you must watch the systems. Together, perhaps we can weaken its pull. Hours passed in tense struggle. Mira stood with her hands on the beacon, whispering in her strange language, her glow steady against the pulsing machine. Aaron rushed from panel to panel, cutting flows, resetting circuits and forcing power back into the right paths. Sweat drenched his back and his hands shook with effort, but he refused to stop. At last, the beacon's furious pulse slowed again, though its glow remained brighter than ever before. Mira staggered back, her face pale but calm. We slowed it for now, but this is only the beginning. It will call again. And those who heard may already be on their way. Aaron helped her stand, his heart heavy. The threat was no longer hidden. It was real and pressing, somewhere out in the dark. Someone or something was coming. As the two of them stood in the chamber, the beacon gave one last deep pulse, then quieted. Aaron looked at Mira and said firmly, Then when they arrive, we will face them together. Mira's dark eyes met his and she gave a slow nod. For the first time since her arrival, there was no barrier of silence between them. They were no longer master and maid, no longer strangers. They were allies standing at the edge of a storm, ready to face whatever answered the call. The control deck of the station was silent except for the steady hum of the beacon, now fully activated. Aaron stood with Mira at his side, both staring at the great display before them. The beacon had sent its message far into space, a call that would not go unanswered. They had tried to shut it down before, but the technology inside was far beyond what either of them had ever seen. The damage had already been done. Now they had to face what would come. From the outer windows, stars burned bright, scattered across the black ocean of space. Yet even their brilliance was soon challenged by new lights moving, growing, and drawing closer. Aaron's heart tightened as he realized what they were. Ships. Not human ships, but alien, their forms strange and their engines giving off an eerie glow. Mira stood motionless, her silver eyes following them as if she had expected this moment. They are here, Mira said softly. Her voice carried no fear, only calm acceptance. The beacon was a signal to summon them. But they are not my kind. These are the hunters. They will not stop until they claim everything. Aaron gripped the railing before him. Then we cannot let them take the station. Or Earth, we fight. Mira turned to him, her gaze firm. You do not understand. Their fleet is larger than anything you can imagine. They burn worlds. They leave nothing behind. Then we hold them here, Aaron said, his tone steady. He had never felt more certain about anything. If Earth has any chance, we have to fight. For a moment, Mira only studied him. Then at last she nodded. If that is your choice, then I will stand with you. The station trembled as the first wave of alien ships drew near. Bright blasts of energy struck the outer hull, shaking the walls and sending sparks flying across the control deck. Aaron rushed to the console and began activating the defense systems. the old cannons unused for decades grown to life as power surged through them. Mira moved swiftly, her hands dancing across the alien interface. Somehow she understood it, guiding the defense systems with a speed Aaron could not match. The first alien craft broke through the outer defenses, streaking toward the docking bays. Aaron activated the inner shields, but the impact was too strong. The station shook violently, and alarms screamed through every corridor. Aaron braced himself, but Mira moved quickly, adjusting the beacon's energy into a weapon. A sudden pulse burst outward, striking the alien ship and sending it spinning off into the void. Aaron stared in shock. The beacon, once a threat, was now a weapon in their hands. More ships came, dozens, then hundreds. The sky outside was alive with battle. The station's cannons fired relentlessly, but the alien fleet was massive. Aaron and Mira worked side by side, every second critical. Aaron targeted the largest ships, unleashing everything the station had left. Mira guided the beacon's pulses, sending arcs of energy across the battlefield, ripping through enemy formations. But the enemy pressed harder. Boarding parties forced their way into the outer corridors. Aaron left the console, grabbing an old plasma rifle from the emergency locker. "They're inside," he said. "I'll hold them off." Mira reached for his arm. "You cannot fight them all." "I don't need to fight them all," Aaron replied. "I just need to give you time." Without waiting for her answer, he charged into the corridor. The lights flickered as alien shadows moved in the distance. Aaron steadied his rifle, his hand shaking but his resolve unshaken. He fired, the plasma bolts burning bright against the dark. The alien forms stumbled and fell, their strange armor no match for the human weapon. Yet more came, their cries echoing down the halls. Aaron pressed forward, forcing them back step by step. He knew he could not last forever, but every moment he held the line was another moment for Mira to unleash the beacon's power. His lungs burned and sweat dripped from his brow, but he refused to stop. This was humanity's stand, and he would not falter. Back in the control deck, Mira worked with precision. She felt the beacon's energy like a living presence guiding her hands. With one final surge, she redirected its full force outward. The beacon shone like a star, brighter than anything Aaron had ever seen. A great wave of energy swept across the battlefield, tearing through the alien fleet. Ships exploded in brilliant bursts, their remains scattering like ashes across the void. Aaron fell to his knees in the corridor as the shockwave passed. The sound of battle faded. The enemy was gone. When he returned to the control deck, Mira stood silent, her hands resting on the beacon's console. Her silver eyes glowed faintly, her strength nearly spent. She turned to Aaron with a faint smile. "It is done. They will not return." Aaron dropped his rifle and stepped closer. The stars beyond the window now shone calmly, no longer shadowed by the alien fleet. "We did it," he said quietly. "Humanity is safe." Mira nodded, her voice soft. "You fought with courage I have rarely seen. The beacon may have been built to call destruction, but you changed its purpose. That is what makes your kind strong. That is why humanity will endure." Aaron stood beside her, gazing out into the endless stars. The battle was over, but he knew their journey was just beginning. The galaxy was vast and dangers would return. Yet with allies like Mira and the strength he had found within himself, Aaron believed humanity could face whatever came next. The station drifted quietly in orbit, scarred but unbroken. Aaron and Mira stood together, watching the light of distant stars. Humanity had taken its stand, and against all odds it had endured.